Well, good morning. It's going to be a beautiful day here in northern Illinois. I'm going to run through all my right hand drills that I do every morning to start the day in exactly the sequence I do them. And when I'm doing them, sometimes when I get real meticulous about it, if I have some errors in there, I'll start the entire drill over again. In other cases, I'll just start certain portions of the drill over again. These are all things that I've put on my YouTube page previously, but I'm just going to run them all together. This is a usual routine. Let's see how long it takes. I'm going to video it and see if it turns out okay, and if it does, I'll put it up there on Facebook and share it and see if it's of any use to anybody besides myself. All right, so here we go. A little right hand warm up. I've got my metronome set at 70 beats per minute. I use a drum beat with a downbeat on the bass drum and 16th notes. 70 quarter notes per minute sounds like this.
1, 2,
That's
3,
her.
4.
And I work with that. Here's the first one, just starting with simple strokes, countdowns I call them. squash a ladybug. So that one I'd probably go back and do it again and clean it up, but I won't do it for the sake of time on this video. We're already at 8.5 minutes, so we'll move on. Aha, there. Sorry. So that's the, and there it is, what, 12 minutes to get through that. And the combinations are these, just single string, and there's a couple of overriding things going on. A constant reminder to relax this right hand and it feels like if I was just to very relaxed, do some strumming, and you just take that strum and continue to reduce it down to where it's just going over one string or a group of strings. So it feels like kind of a strum, and also I lighten my grip on my pick to when I want to try and get a little more precise, and I feel like I'm getting the point of the pick or the front of the pick on the string. So I'm being a little more intentional about placing my pick on the string, and still my muscles want to miss. So I'll watch the video and then go back and see if I can diagnose any specific things that I could change that might make it even cleaner, more musical. What I also find is doing these, they find their way into my playing when I'm just playing rhythm and singing or playing with my bandmates. Those little patterns sort of come out. They start showing up in little filling patterns, and they inform anything I want to do that's single note or more articulation work on the guitar, as opposed to just banging away. But it also comes in handy because I can feel that in terms of rhythm. I can feel some individual string work in there, and I can get just a little bit more musical. And the overriding goal: relaxed, clear, musical, smooth, and that, as opposed to that tension. It feels like I'm just running the pick, like I'm scribbling with the nub of the pick, like I'm just coloring the string with it, marking it, just kind of scratching it with the pick. And the first exercise starts with groups of 8 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. When I get to the top, then it's 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do 4 plus 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, all the way down, then 6 going up, then 5 coming back, 4 group 16th notes, 3 coming back, 2, and then 1, and then run it all the way through, and then I do 3 note groupings going up and back, and then 4 note group or 4 string grouping going up and back. And I don't start again, I just go straight through it, so it's up, up. So each group starts with a down, and then coming back starts with an up. And then I do a string skip, so every other one. The reason I do that is I have kind of discovered that those are the most common kinds of rhythmic patterns, groupings that way, that show up pretty frequently. And sort of getting muscle memory on those kinds of groupings really informs my overall playing in most circumstances. And so just over time, over the last several years, kind of analyzing these and realizing those kinds of things. And then the next thing after we finish that thing there is going to the grouping and switching. Whoops. And I don't go that fast, but doing those kinds of string and I've done that on a YouTube. There's a video on that one before. And then when I finish that, I go string skipping every other string, same kind of rhythmic groupings. But I'm going from the E6 to the D4, A5 to the G3, and so on, doing skipping on the same exercise, those same patterns going up. And then I go into the 3 string groupings. So there's your first 3, 5, 6, 5, and 4. Just alternate picking up and down. And I think I do 4 minutes, whatever the count is. And then I'll do a back and forth, which kind of takes care of a lot of the picking patterns. And then a roll, which is perhaps the most tricky, always alternating for me anyway. And then reverse rolls, then combination. Then I do what I call inside-outside, starting with in middle string. I think I start with down and up, then up and down. Then I go to the top string of the 3, and I do just straight up and down alternate picking. Then I do top and bottom, top and bottom, top and bottom, top and bottom. So that little. And how much does that come up in playing, melodies and fiddle songs? And I can't play it very quickly. I'm still. So that one, just to get that going. And then the rolls, down, and then a reverse roll, and then a combination, down, up, and then I go to the next string, 5, 4, and 3, and do the same patterns all the way up. and finish there. And then I start doing some left-hand things, very gradual, which I've done videos on before. I start that with my and I want to let the pick do the work, the weight of my hand, so I get the feel of that. And then when I come back up, and then down, all up strokes coming back. That's when I add the left hand. I start doing that one, and then that, and then maybe some speed drills. Incidentally, everything with the metronome. I use Tonal Energy Metronome, which has a tuning app, metronome with a lot of different choices of meters and pulses and sounds, and I think it's a purchase app, and I find it very useful, and especially with that tucka 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 tucka. And incidentally, I put on the headphones, almost completely covered, so it's really banging away, and really locking myself into that metronome. And then when I go to my repertoire, if it's a singing tune, I'll keep that metronome going and sing with the metronome playing. Make sure I can hear it and pay attention, because I always speed up or slow down, which is not a great sin, but somehow you want to stay in the groove. Anyway, there's 20 minutes of right hand warm up and some other stuff. Have a lovely day. See you guys later.